What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Meg.
I'm Jammin.
And we have yet another album review for you. And, well, yet another band that's going to be at MDF. So, of course, we got to review it. That, and I went over their last one, and I fucking loved it. So we are going to go over the latest offering from Caustic Wound, Grinding Mechanism of Torment. This also comes out on the 25th of April on Profound Lore Records. This band formed in 2017 in Seattle, Washington. This is their second album overall. As I said, I reviewed their last album, their debut, Death Posture, back in 2020, which was probably a really shoddy review because we shot it in 2020 when we still didn't have any idea what we were doing. But that album ended up on my year-end list for 2020. And I'll be honest, I totally forgot that this was coming out because I feel like it was announced really quickly, like, you know, within like a few weeks of it actually dropping, like, oh yeah, by the way, new album. And to be honest, I really wasn't sure if I was expecting a second album from this band because this band is essentially a side project from Mortiferum. Now, this is definitely not like Mortiferum, but it kind of is. It's deathgrind. It's swampy, gross deathgrind.
It's definitely got elements of Mortiferum for sure. I got into this band also with Death Posture, although I didn't get to review it with Nick. He said, you know, check this out, you're going to love it, and I fucking loved it. So I had no idea that this was coming out either until a couple of days ago. I saw it on YouTube, and I was like, wait, I didn't hear anything about this.
And outside of members of Mortiferum, this also features current and former members of Corpus Awful, Fetid, and Cerebral Rot. I mean, if you got a baseline reading of all those bands and what they sound like, apply that to Deathgrind, and you pretty much have what this band sounds like. It's swampy, it's gross, it's dense, it's kind of damp and probably sticky too. Like, everything about this is just filthy, but it's filthy, fast, and violent as hell. Imagine a band like Broken Hope covering Terrorizer's World Downfall. I'm pretty sure you would kind of have that. And we're talking about like the Swamped and Gore era Broken Hope, like real early on when they also didn't give a shit about sounding pleasant or nice or anything. They wanted their albums to sound like they were dripping with a dealer's choice. Pick your fluid. I don't know. It's got to be something gross and it smells bad, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure it smells moldy and dead and rotting and like sticking your head into like a compost heap, like on a sunny, warm August day. Yeah, I imagine that's kind of what it smells like.
It's like cleaning out the grease trap at work. Oh, that's a smell right there. Anyway, this album is kind of all of those things, but I've been looking forward to this one, namely because Death Posture was such a fucking banger. And honestly, this is kind of more the same. If not, it's grosser. It's grimier sounding. Like, I jammed a bit of Death Posture before we actually sat down and went over this one, and this production on here feels extra swampy and dense. Like, the guitars and the bass on here, it's muddy. It's just filthy sounding. Like, you know, again, like, picture, like, old Autopsy and shit like that sort of tone on there, but not with a tremendous amount of sizzle to it. Like, it's just this big boom.
Yeah, imagine that, but without murk on it. I don't know how to really describe it because I really like the guitar tone. Like, for as swampy as it is, it's still also relatively clear.
I mean, you know, props to the production here. Honestly, like, for as dense and gross and just filthy as this is, it's really, like, well mixed. Like, in terms of, like, being able to hear everything. I like murk and, like, kind of, like, mud on my mixes, just in terms of, like, death metal and death grind. But, you know, it's the whole separation of sound thing. Like, I want to be able to hear every instrument. I don't want certain things buried. And honestly, nothing on here is buried.
Nope.
The guitars stand out really well. The drums are nice and prominent. That snare can cut through fucking everything. The bass brings a lot of low-end murk, and you can hear it kind of boiling and sizzling. I mean, anything with strings that's played on here sounds like it was, like, recorded after it was, like, submerged in an oil drum full of fucking vomit. And the vocals cut through really well. You get, like, a good blend of, like, high screams and low gurgles. It's mostly low gurgles. And I would say that this band, you know, it has grindcore energy and definitely grindcore song lengths, but there's a lot of death metal on here. And just, like, pockets of just huge, hefty grooves and big, droning, chuggy riffs.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I feel like they should kind of favor death metal. I mean, considering this is the same frontman who fronts Fetid and Corpus Awful used to be in Cerebral Rot. Like, you know, he's just got some absolutely putrid, gurgly, gross vocals, and they work great. But I like the fact that there are occasionally like high screams behind it. It kind of adds, I wouldn't even call it like a layered effect, like oh, they're like doing
definitely
a growl duet. It's almost like just adding density to it, which this album is fucking dense.
Actually, in the song Advanced Killing Methods, there are heavily layered vocals. There's got to be like, I don't know, probably 3 to 4 tracks of vocals, which makes that song hit extra hard. And that's the cool thing about most of these songs. Even though this is grind, it's death grind. So all your death metal moments hit as hard as they possibly can. Every time they slow down anything on this record, it's some of the heaviest stuff I've ever heard. Songs like Drone Terror, Legacy of Terror, Blackout, The Bleed Rail, and so on and so forth all have these groovy pockets that are just absolutely devastating.
These songs are busy with like riff changes too. Like, you know, they're condensed. Like most of them are about a minute and a half. You got a couple that are under a minute, but there's a lot of cool transitions in them. And props to the drummer because like he's changing the beat so fucking frequently on here. Like you do have some songs that do stay, you know, predominantly blasty. I don't really think you have one that stays like groovy the entire time because just, you know, prepare for it. A blast beat is definitely coming. But Advanced Killing Methods, which when I saw that song title, I thought that sounds like a self-help book for serial killers. But, you know, it's like, oh, I never thought of killing him with a hammer that way. Thanks, book. Good looking out. But that song in particular has way more grindcore energy. It's faster. It has, you know, what I would say are like, you know, flat out like grindcore riffs. Like, it kind of sounds a bit like Nawesome, except, you know, when they reformed, they got Swamp Ape on guitars and vocals. I was also surprised at the number of leads on here. Now, the leads are generally squealy dive bombs. They're noisy. They just kind of work with, like, you know, what this band is playing. But there's a lot of them. And again, that kind of adds the busyness of this album. There's a lot going on for something that you would probably consider just fast ooga booga metal.
Yeah. Because it is that too. But I mean, when you think of the bands that all these dudes are in, like that, I think your death metal is gonna sound like that.
I mean, it should. And just because they're prevalent doesn't mean there aren't going to be like some cool dynamics every now and then. Like, I do like the fact that they vary up a lot of like the riffs on here, like in terms of riff speed and just changes. And of course, like switching from like hefty grindcore down picking to like just absolutely sick tremolos. And they even harmonize them occasionally. There are a few spots on here that I would dare almost call melodic. Like, not melodic to anyone else except for, you know, douchebags like us.
Yeah.
But, you know, still a little bit catchy. There's even a couple of leads where, like, hey, there was a spot of melody before they fucking just absolutely cranked that dive bomb all the way to hell.
Dive bomb with a belt sander.
Don't rule it out.
Yeah, I like the fact that all the tremolos are evil sounding, just like they are in Mortiferum. Like, I like that that's incorporated in there. Because even in Death Grind, I'm not really always used to hearing things like evil tremolos, so...
No, I mean, this does have, again, this, like, swampy, foggy, just gross atmosphere to it. It kind of has, like, an almost kind of gore grind-ish sort of sound, too. But, like, slightly more refined gore grind, like Symphonies of Sickness, because, yeah, again, there's still a lot of killer riffs on here. There's a lot of killer musicianship overall. And, again, like, some fun dynamics. Like, we were picking out spots where they were starting to do, like, slow, monotonous riffs over super fast drums, like a blast beat, and then you just get this droning chug. That showed up a couple of times on Endless Grave and Infinite Onslaught, which Infinite Onslaught, I kind of wished it was Infinite because, my God, that was probably like the riffiest song on there.
The riffiest and the most gnarly and probably the most evil of them all. And like all the transitions, just like every time they switch to something, you're just like, oh, that's even more gross than it was before. Oh, goodness. And yeah, I wish that song would have gone on longer. That's the only complaint I ever have about grind is that, like, man, it's over.
But don't worry, there's another song coming up immediately that's even shorter.
Yes. 7 seconds. How am I supposed to write notes for this? Shit.
But that song in particular kind of runs the gamut of, like, kind of everything that this album does, and it just kind of showcases, like, all the different kind of grimy riffs you can squeeze in here while just kind of maintaining, I wouldn't say order, because it's chaotic, but it's catchy. Like, there's moments on here that really stand out. Like, you get some two-step chugs in that song. That also shows up on the Bleed Rail, which I just called that the Meathead Waltz, because that's the moment where, when this band, if they play this song or any song remotely like it, at the soundstage, that's where we're gonna see someone fucking crowd surf a trash can. They also do a lot of like fun bookending with sections on here. Like, you know, a song will start off with a slower, monotonous groove, slowly pick up pace.
Yep.
Of course, blast beats because duh. And then there are points in here where the song feels like it's just restarting. Like, it's just like, boom, right back to this part, and we'll close out on that nasty groove again because, I mean, you know, we love death metal grooves, and honestly, the grooves on here really fucking hit.
Yeah, they do. All of them. Actually, there's not a groove on this record that I don't like. And once again, I don't know what it is, but I am starting to really enjoy the slower riffs over blast beats. The last couple records we've done over the last couple days here have all encased that, and I'm starting to really enjoy that about most death metal anyway. Dude, Technologist Hell Future, that's got some really nasty old Autopsy riffs in it.
Filth right away. You feel it. And you hear like an isolated scream on there instead of like the death gurgles. And honestly, like how he builds it up, it's a very Chris Reifert thing.
Yep.
But then it shifts into like full on grindcore, which, you know, kind of removes the Autopsy vibes, but it, again, bookends. It comes right back to it. Like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Horrible Earth Death does that too, although there's almost like a little off-time hitch in that groove. It's pretty much the only time it happens in the record, but it actually really kind of separates this song from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, well, then you have like the super short tracks, which I was kind of surprised that the title track in here, the opening track, is only like a 26-second little intro where it's, you know, grind fit, hey, listen to our swampy ass bass.
Yep.
Grind fit, we're done.
Yep, but it's a good setup for this record, too.
It is.
You get a bunch of that. Albeit it's a little more elongated, but most of these songs don't clock in over 2 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. At the same time, like, it's your title track. I didn't think it would be like the intro track.
Sure.
But, you know, you have some other short songs in here that were fun. Atom Blast is just absolutely furious. Foot on the gas the entire 49 seconds that it exists. And it does squeeze in some almost more like brutal, like syncopated chugs just for a second. And one of my personal favorites, just because I saw the song title, like I'm going to end up saying something really fucked up when I see that. Dead Dog. Oh. Good news, it can still do 2 tricks. One of them is definitely play dead. The other one's lay down. It's really good at that.
And the magic about that is you don't have to give it treats at that point.
Yeah, or water. The song's quite heartwarming, not warming. I know, that's terrible. I know. But it's a short, just gross song with some really interesting lyrics. There's definitely a serious message in there, but the fact that it seems like it considers eating the dead dog is both sad and just, I don't know, like very questionable.
I mean, it's 2025. The world is going to shit. As if the record hasn't been enough for your ear thus far, they close it with an absolute beast. Into Cold Death Universe, I believe this song tracks in at a little under 7 minutes, I believe.
That's unheard of for deathgrind.
Yeah, but you'll figure out why real quick. Absolutely filthy. It's got a feedback fade in, and then it harmonizes, and then it's got this really stanky, slow build to it, and then you hit Death Doom territory, which I wasn't expecting on this record, but there it is. And god damn it, is that riff heavy and catchy, and once again, the intensity at this point, even though it's not fast, I mean, it is just pummeling.
It is gross, and it kind of just comes out of nowhere because, I mean, yeah, there are definitely pockets of groove in here, and definitely some slow, monotonous stuff, but this sounds like they're teasing the next Mortiferum album.
Yes. The
guitar riffs are just thick. They are like fucking cold peanut butter or something much grosser that I can't think of right now. It's so gross that I swear I could smell this song, and I'm reasonably sure it probably would have smelled a lot like the Dead Dog, except you stuffed it full of like rotten eggs and like expired milk. I know. That's how you fucking set off that cuisine if you're going to eat it.
Oh, I can't wait to go home.
But the song keeps getting darker. And honestly, like, a lot of this, it screams primal. It's violent. The songs are explosive. You know, like, all that just chaos is just, you know, swarming around this album like fucking flies and shit. But this song in particular feels dark. There's some creepy samples of news excerpts, probably talking about horrible shit like people eating dogs. or something. I'm going to stay on that for a while, sorry. You get some dive bombs that come in, and then it switches gears to a blast beat that carries out the rest of the song. And it's a steady, droning tremolo and just straight up blast beat, but it's surrounded by like a cloud of fucking dive bombs and screams and feedback. It sounds hellish, like they're like waterboarding someone while playing like, you know, the beginning of Hell Awaits on a loop. Now, I like it. In fact, this is, you know, probably the most atmospheric moment on the album. And generally with deathgrind, that's just another thing I don't really look for with deathgrind is atmosphere. Like, no, deathgrind for me is like, hey, excuse me, could you beat the shit out of me with riffs, but keep it short, I got shit to do. That's what I look for in grind. And of course, I tell them, please make it enjoyable. But in terms of like atmosphere and evil and darkness and distance, that's not something I generally look for, but I found it in this song. And honestly, for the most part, I dig it. But after a while, I think it really needed to stop. Like they should have faded out at some point because like it just sounded like some dude getting worked over by power tools.
Yeah. I didn't really mind it. I didn't even actually really notice it until you pointed out, because when we jammed this for the review, that was the third time today I've heard this record, and the first two times I just remember Into Cold Deaf Universe being one of my favorite songs on the record, and I didn't really notice that until you pointed it out. To me, it doesn't bother me. Like, it's still a catchy riff, and I like the fact that even though that riff is elongated, maybe a little bit too long, it's the shit going on behind it. It seems like they just keep adding layers of this hellish soundscape that it just keeps getting more insane. It's like losing your mind.
In terms of any negatives on here, I mean, honestly, I really don't have much outside of like the last track. That last part does kind of drone on too long. You know, some of the shorter songs, you know, I don't think, like, again, the title track should have been, like, this short kind of, like, nothing setup track at the beginning. Like, you know, just change one of the titles. Make that one Dead Dog. I don't know. Oh. We're going to keep coming back to that.
I don't want to. I want to pet that dog.
Well, you can pet that dog. It's not going to go anywhere. Probably should wash your hands. No one's saying you can't pet the dead dog.
I'm going to hell. You're going to hell. We're all going to hell.
But outside of that, like, I really don't have a lot of complaints about this. This stays foot on the gas, but at the same time, it's broken up really well. There's a lot of solid, just gnarly death metal riffs on here. But of course, it's got all that grindcore energy that I fucking love. So I would say this is like just death grind done fucking exceedingly well.
Yeah.
And overall, I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 stars. This thing is a banger. Honestly, like with more jams, this could grow to be 4.5. I don't know. I might still favor the debut a little bit more, but I've had more time with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you like your death grind particularly swampy and filthy and gross, like, again, think of all the bands that these guys are a part of.
Yeah.
And just make what they do grindy. Like, it's the same kind of production. It's the same kind of vibe. It's just, it's got more grind to it. Just check this album out. Check out their debut, too, because it's fucking gross as hell. And, yeah, I can't wait to see them at MDF.
Yeah, no shit. I gotta be honest. I'm gonna go ahead and give this record a 4.5. I'm probably not gonna stop listening to this for a long time. You know, we talk about things like shorter songs. We don't know why, you know, so the title track is shorter. But at the same time, you know, we had to review this record. So we had to stop track by track and put down notes because that's how it works. When you listen to this record as a whole without stopping it, it is way more intense and way more brutal than it would be if you did like we did and stopped all the songs. I mean, this record is violently heavy. It's incredibly intense. Man, when it slows down, it is the grossest, nastiest thing you can think of. The riffs are entertaining. Dude, the record flows really well, too. All the transitions are pretty killer. I didn't have any gripes with the transitions. The production is fucking amazing. That last song, goodness gracious. The last song, Legacy of Terror, Drone Terror, really all of it. Again, I didn't have a problem with anything, and much like Nick said too, if you're a fan of any of the bands that these guys are in, or, you know, if you can think of bands along this line, so Fetid, Corpus Awful, Disgorge, Broken Hope, Mortiferum, Cerebral Rot, and pretty much a myriad of just bands that sound gross and disgusting, plus are grindy, you're really going to enjoy this. This record was done very well. Like I said, I'm probably not going to stop listening to it for a long time. I am super stoked to see this at MDF.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We also have memberships. They are only 99 cents, and our lone perk is doing a members-only live stream, which we will be doing probably sometime after Maryland Death Fest, provided we survive.
Yeah, no shit. I'm not going to be able to walk. After like day 3, dude, it's going to be murder.
Anyway, memberships are the main way to support the channel now. We also still have our store, thrallsmetal.com. That has our t-shirts and hats. That is linked down below. And there's also a join button down there, too, like right above that whole part. And you could press it and then join this moderately, kind of, almost nearly cool thing called Thralls of Metal Members. I don't know if we ever gave it a name.
I mean, what more could you ask for?
You could ask for a ton more. You really could.
Probably a bunch. We are thankful that you were here. Tons of stuff going on at Thralls of Metal, album reviews, discography rankings. We got At the Gates coming up next, which will be fucking sweet. We have a new segment that we're about to premiere that kind of runs in tandem with the discography rankings. That's a little bit more interactive for you guys that we think you're really going to enjoy. We get Nick's collection updates, tons of discussion forums, states of metal, is it not metal? We appreciate every one of our subscribers and everyone that talks to us for whatever reason. We are thankful for you.
Yeah, you guys absolutely rule. Tons of content coming in the future. So one more big thank you, because you guys are awesome, and we will catch you later.